This is the Clemson Softball Super Regional Preview. It's time to get up. It's game day. Good morning, Tiger fans, and welcome in to the first preview show presented by Nachos and Analysis. Today, we're previewing Clemson's first Super Regional. Tonight, they will take on Oklahoma State in the Stillwater Super Regional. In just 3 years, Coach Rittman has gotten his squad to heights that I don't think ever imagined, especially this early. You have a team that won the ACC regular season title last year in its first full season. Then you have a team this year that hosts its first regional, not only wins its first regional, but does not even allow a single run. Already catching myself making mistakes. Let me go back. They made a regional last year. However, this was the first one they've ever hosted. So in this regional, not a single run allowed by the Tigers. They are hitting all strides right now, and they're doing it at the right time. However, Oklahoma State seemed to be in the same boat. So we got an exciting contest coming up. But before we get into today's preview with former softball standout Ansley Gilstrap, just wanted to plug Nachos and Analysis. If you're listening to this, it's probably because you're a follower of ours. I'm not really sure why you follow us, whether you like our sports takes or you get a laugh out of us. Who knows? But if you are listening to us and you don't know what Nachos and Analysis is, check us out on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter is kind of our mainstay. We spend a lot of time on Twitter, probably too much time on Twitter if you ask my wife. However, give us a follow. This preview show is something that came up really quickly. We have been toying around with the idea of doing a Clemson softball and baseball podcast, a joint venture there. And I couldn't wait till next season. So I figured what better reason or what better excuse to have to record a podcast than a preview show for the program's first super regional appearance. So be on the lookout for that next baseball and softball season. All right, joining us today is Winthrop assistant coach, former Clemson shortstop, and newest member of the Florida Vibe, Ansley Gilstrap. Welcome on, Ansley.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for hopping on with such short notice.
Of course.
So my first question for you was going to be, what's your life been like post playing, transitioning to coaching? But you threw us for a little loop this week and announced that you had signed with the Florida Vibe. So can you fill fans in on what's been going on lately?
Yeah, I think having this season of coaching has really made me miss playing a whole lot. So I'm so excited to have the opportunity to play for the Florida Vibe this summer and play again. This awesome sport. It's taught me so much. I've played for so long, and it's hard not to play anymore, but I'm excited to get back at it again. Coaching, this first year of coaching was a lot of fun though too. I got a lot of experience with that and gained a whole new perspective. So I'm interested to see how, coaching for a year is gonna help play this summer, and if it changes my mindset in a year or anything like that. But I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to give you a different perspective after even just with 1 year of coaching, kind of transitioning back onto the field.
Definitely. I learned that watching is way more stressful than playing is. There'd be times where I, have my clipboard where I'm writing notes and tapping it, and I'm just like, even going in, I went to watch the ACC championship in Pittsburgh, and then I went to the regional hosted at Clemson, and just in the stands, I'm just like, make the play, So I'm excited to play again and be back on the field.
Oh yeah, and you mentioned being there for the regional. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you about the fans and just the environment. It was a huge home field advantage. I'm excited. I'm kind of excited. I don't know. I have only been able to go to a handful of softball games because they conflict with baseball. But how do you compare that to some of the game day environments whenever you were there at Clemson?
Wow, that was awesome. I was so glad that I got to see that. You could see a little bit of it, like in that very first year before
Mm-hmm.
COVID hit. I mean, our stadium was pretty packed. I mean, we sold out that first game too. And then obviously my season playing this past year with COVID and limited seats, that kind of made it to where not as many fans could come, but now all fans are the whole seats can fill out, and now we host a regional, and I mean, everyone there were people that so many people that didn't even get to go to the game that wanted to be there. But that was really awesome, and it kind of makes me a little jealous that we didn't get to host last year and got sent to Alabama, but it was really good to be sitting in the stands and hear everything, and that picture at the end after we won it, and there's all of us fans in the background. I mean, that's just
Mm-hmm.
such a cool picture.
Oh yeah, we were. I was able to go to the Saturday game. The Sunday game we watched from home, and the game had ended. And my wife, there was something she wanted to watch, and I was like, "Yeah, let me just see this interview with Coach Rittman, and then we'll cut it off." But then the cameras kept rolling, and they kept celebrating and running through the sprinklers and dumping pool water on them, and it was a cool environment.
They had 3 pools out. I'm like, how many pools they got out there? They just dump water over onto people. It was so funny. That was the best celebration.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I was crying. I was literally like Casey Bigham, our other graduate senior from last year. She was also there. I'm like, Casey, I'm crying. I'm so happy. It was so fun. So fun.
That was a big moment. It was awesome to watch. I can only imagine being there. So back in March, you had the opportunity to return to Clemson, but as opposing coach. What was that experience like for you?
Everyone at McWhorter Stadium was so welcoming of me. I mean, they would peek in the dugout even during the game, and they were like, "Hi, it's good to see you." I'd be like, "Hi, I'm coaching, but I'll talk to you later." But it was so great. They were so welcoming. Everyone was like, "Whoa," when they said it, and it just, it was so good. I love Clemson. Once a Clemson alumni, like you're always in that Clemson family, and that is what I love most about Clemson.
Oh yeah, the Clemson family, they don't just say it, they mean it. So um, in that game of Clemson, did you feel maybe being a former member of Coach Rittman's program, you had a little bit of an edge as a coach taking the Eagles into Clemson?
I did give Coach Lee some tips of what I knew, some weaknesses from some hitters and stuff like that. Um, Val obviously doesn't have that many weaknesses, so she still hit some bombs on us and stuff like that. But I was actually really proud because even like I've been watching their games even at the beginning of the season, so not even just what I knew from last year, but what I had continuously seen throughout the beginning of the season. I was, noticing some of those weaknesses that I noticed last year, and I kind of pointed them out a little bit. And I was really actually proud of my former teammates at Clemson and their adjustments that they made that game. I mean, Marissa didn't swing at one ball over her head. Aaliyah sat on that changeup and hit it over. I was like, I don't know. That's just good. From there you're just given a high five and stuff like that. But we did have a game plan going into that game, and so we kind of wanted to get as many of our players into that game as possible to let them have that experience.
Mm-hmm.
So Reese, she started the game, and she actually threw really, really well those first 2 innings. She only gave up one earned run. And then so it was our plan that she would play 2 innings, and then we'd bring in our other pitchers to throw 2. So it would have been interesting. Like, what if we had left, some of these players in that, are starters and stuff like that, and see how they would have done against it. But we're realistic, and it's really good that our girls got to have that experience because it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. So looking ahead to next year, what's next for Clemson softball? Obviously, there was a little bit of a drop off of last season's success, but how do you see the Eagles getting better for next season?
Yeah, so we graduated 5 players last year, and 4 of those 5 were starters. They contributed a lot, like leadership wise and just experience wise. And so losing them, it did leave a lot of younger girls to fill those shoes. We had 2 returning starters that started most of the game, and only one of those was an upperclassman. We had another upperclassman who was hurt a lot last year too, so her being able to step back on the field was big. And then we just had a lot of a lot of freshmen filling in those shoes and a lot of transfers. So I think chemistry was a big issue kind of at the beginning of the season, and we had a lot of close games. Like, I mean, our very first game was against NC State, and we had them beat, and then we ended up losing by like 1 run. And that first game of the season against a power school, and you lose by 1 run when you had them beat. Oh, that's just a heartbreaker right there. And so we had a lot of those right at the beginning of the season, and I think we were able to kind of start to build that chemistry back up. And then we had, just at the end of our season, just 3 of the top teams in the conference right there at the end. And it was just a tough way to end the schedule, especially when the beginning of the schedule was we started off and we didn't have the chemistry that we needed. But I think now, like next year, we have a lot to look forward to with those. Pretty much everyone returning. We only graduated 1 this year, so we'll have a lot of returners, a lot of leadership back, and I think the girls are really excited to have a good season next year, because no one likes that season, the season we just had. So we'll have a lot of motivation.
Well, I look forward to following along next season. So jumping ahead to the big series this weekend, just wanted to run through a couple stats for there's some highlights from this honestly historic season for Clemson. The Tigers finished an impressive regular season back in May against Georgia Tech on Senior Day. Their final regular season record was 37-14. And in that game with Georgia Tech, Clemson won its 100th game, and it's only its 130th game. That's impressive. For the second consecutive year, the Tigers made it the ACC tournament championship. Unfortunately, both times losing to Florida State. Clemson softball players earned all ACC honors. There's 5. 4 of them are returning honorees from last year: Valerie Cagle, Mackenzie Clark, Aaliyah Logaleo, and Millie Thompson. And then Abby Vieira got her first selection. And it's just in just its second full season, Clemson hosted and won its program's first regional. I think the most impressive part of that is not allowing a single run the entire weekend. And with that victory, they earned a trip to Stillwater, Oklahoma, where tonight they will face the 7th seed Oklahoma State Cowgirls in a best-of-3 series for a chance to the College World Series. As someone who was with the program from the beginning, what do you think has contributed the most to the program's early success?
Yeah, they really killed it this year. And I think a lot of that really has to do with the coaching staff's ability to paint a picture. And I think that's something that's been said in like other interviews, but I think it's really hard to like visualize. Like when me and Ariel Oda and JoJo, when we first got there in that first class, there was nothing. The ground wasn't broken. There was nothing. And Coach Rootman took us into the Jersey Meadows where cars were parked for the football games, and was like, hey, right here where this Toyota is, this is where home plate's going to be. And we're like, okay, and so right there, he's able to tell you like, okay, it's easy. Anyone can say, we're going to build a championship program. It's like, okay, great. That sounds great. How are we going to do it? Let me show you. We're going to build this awesome stadium right here. We're going to bring in the best support system. We've got an awesome athletic trainer, an awesome strength and conditioning. We've got a great academic coordinator that keeps us on track of and all aspects. We're setting that bar high, and then from there, everyone that you bring in, everyone that you talk to, it's like, this is something you want to do. This is what we're going to achieve. And as they're coming in, whether it be transfers or freshmen, they're buying into that, like the culture. These are our core values. This is what we want to achieve. These are our goals. And right off the bat, everyone coming into this program are starting to buy into that goal and see that picture that the coaching staff really painted for everyone. And I think that's great. I also think that the fan support is huge, is a huge part of what makes this program so successful. I mean, this regional, I mean, all those fans there cheering us on. How can you not be excited about that? You know, the media coverage is great. We have some great media people that are promoting us, and it's just all of those things combined, I think, is most just what makes Clemson special, and this Clemson softball team special too.
Yeah, I knew that going into it that the support from the fans was going to be there, but I think I maybe underestimated how invested, how early it would take off like that. And so I don't know, with your busy schedule coaching yourself, how much you actually got to watch of Clemson this year, but what's impressed you most about this team?
The uniforms.
They do have some great uniforms.
They do have some great uniforms, but no, I've watched every game that I had the opportunity to watch, and I think that, you know, kind of what we just talked about that makes them special and helps them get that early success is also what's impressed me the most, and that's their ability to accomplish goals. Like, I remember back in that first year, we set goals. We're like, let's win about half of our conference series. Let's win a couple Power 5 or top 25 teams. Let's do this. And I mean, we achieved those goals like week 1, you know?
Yeah.
So then, I mean, you just continue to set those goals and you continue to reach them, and you continue to, and they just, and there are so many different personalities on the Clemson softball team, and that can cause a lot of conflict. But I think another impressive thing is that, like, it doesn't matter how different we are. Once we get on the field, we are a team, and we are going to accomplish these goals, you know? And I think that is one of the most impressive things about
Clemson. And I think those personalities come into play with it. Every time I turn them on TV or go to a game, they're having fun. Absolutely. So, and I think that's a big part of it. So with the regional play, like we mentioned, they had home field advantage, had a huge crowd behind them to kind of give that advantage against the teams they played. But for this super regional, they head to Oklahoma, where the Cowgirls are 18-1 at home this season. How do you think that the team will handle going on the road in such a big game environment?
You know, I think the big game environment is like the key to that, because this isn't just a regular game. This is a super regional. And I think you're going to, even though it's an away game, I am so excited to see how many Clemson fans do show up, because Clemson fans travel so well. And I think that we're going to still feel that support, even all the way in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And I think we're going to have a lot of motivation. We're also going in as an underdog, and I think we play really well as an underdog because we have nothing to lose, you know, so we are having fun. We are just going after it and making a name for ourselves, continuing to.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how many Tiger fans are there. They travel well for pretty much every sport. I've even been in text threads and conversations this week of if they make the College World Series, are we driving out there to go watch them? So and kind of on that same topic of travel, one thing I should have went back and looked and didn't confirm, but I know this is going to be a game that's in the Central Time Zone, so that's one factor. And also both games that are on the schedule currently, Thursday and Friday, are 9:30 and 9 o'clock. I know typically Clemson plays relatively early throughout the season. Do you think that'll have any impact at all?
I was thinking about that too, and I actually texted Coach Courtney, and I was like, "How do you feel about the time change of the game time change of the games?" And she's like, "You know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it." And I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna affect probably fans like myself more than anything, who are trying to watch and stay up that late.
Yeah,
I'll be watching on my couch on the TV and be like, "You got this. Stay awake." But I think that they're going to have tons of energy, tons of adrenaline, and I think that they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I kind of get that vibe. My initial thought was that may affect them, but kind of lead into my next question. They're kind of peaking at the right time. They've won 9 of the last 10 games, and just like college baseball, college basketball, any sport that kind of has like that end of the year run with a big tournament or whatever, it's huge with kind of peaking at the right time. Do you think the overall swagger of this team right now plays into how they compete this weekend?
Absolutely it does. And that's I think Coach Ribbon always, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And I think that that's something that this team does really well too. You know, they shake off failure really well. They learn from it, and they are on fire right now. And I don't think that, you know, they're going to let a time change, a 1 hour time difference affect how they play out there. I think that they're going to, no matter what, they're going to give it everything they have.
So looking ahead to the opposition, Oklahoma State, they honestly have kind of had a similar kind of run as of late. They've won some big games, they've lost a couple, but they are the 7th seed. They're 41-12 overall, 18-1 at home, so very good at home. The Cowgirls finished the regional like Clemson, undefeated, with wins over Fordham, who they beat 12-0 in 5 innings. They defeated number 25 Nebraska, as well as North Texas, to win the regional championship. They're led by Caitlin Cartwile at the plate. She leads the team in batting average at 361 with 53 hits, 7 home runs, and 33 RBIs. And then their ace in the circle there is Kelly Maxwell with a 1.22 ERA and an 18-4 record. Looking ahead, kind of getting a vibe check for how the weekend's going to go. What do you think Clemson has to do to win this series and move on to its first College World Series?
Yeah, when you're playing these kind of opponents with better stats and you know, that kind of a season, they're having a great season, so you really got to do everything all around really well. You got to pitch well, you got to play defense well, and then you got to hit. You know, on defense, good teams are going to take advantage of every mistake that you make. So you can't afford mistakes. And that's what it's going to come down to is who makes the least amount of mistakes and who hits the best and who pitches the best. That's what it's going to be.
Oh, yeah. I think it's definitely going to be a competitive series. Definitely going to be a tough one to pull out. Whoever wins the series, I believe, is going to be a worthy champion and will represent this super regional in the College World Series well. Do you have a prediction for how the series will turn out?
I totally agree. I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be good games to watch. You know, I wouldn't be a Tiger fan if I did not say that Clemson softball is going to come out on top. And you know what? I really do believe it. We've got it. We're going to get it. It might be in 2 games. It might be in 3 games. It doesn't matter. We're going to get it.
2 games will be great. I'm with you. I think Clemson's going to win 2 games to 1, but winning it in 2 would be great. But just to kind of wrap it up, Clemson continues their road to the College World Series Thursday night at Stillwater, Oklahoma, against the Oklahoma State Cowgirls. The game time is set for 9:30 and will be on ESPN2 right there in the prime time. And then there was a time change for Friday's game. I believe it was originally 6:30, but that one was also bumped back to 9 o'clock. And Sunday they will play if necessary. Like you, I'm hoping that Sunday is not necessary. But thank you, Ansley, for coming on, and thank you to the listeners for tuning in.
Thanks for having me, Drew.